Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching a live chat with Tessellations. I'm your host, Sergio Galeano, and I'm joined by my good friend, Thomas Keller. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back, guys.
He's back, guys.
I'm here.
No applause. Okay, yeah.
I'm here to talk again. I paid every single one of those claps.
I didn't actually want you to applaud. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you for having us.
Ryan.
Thank you for having us.
Why don't you tell us about your music? You guys had an extensive pedal board. Both of you had your own separate pedal boards.
Yes.
Where's the influence coming from? Tell us about that.
Oh man, the influence is coming from a lot of different places. I mean, obviously you can hear it's coming mostly from like 90s shoegaze kind of dream pop stuff. Also a little bit from like the more modern indie kind of vibe, like
Beach House.
that real estate beach house.
Yeah, War on Drugs.
Yeah,
going
real estate
on.
was actually what I was thinking of.
So with this 90s shoegaze, what are we explicitly talking, like My Bloody Valentine or like
It's-
Slow Dive, something like that?
It's mostly, I mean, I know that we both love Slovaki. That's like one of our
okay,
favorite
good.
shoegaze albums.
Yeah.
Also Loveless. Like those two albums have kind of inspired a lot of our music,
And I
as
feel-
a lot of people have.
And I feel like that's like the go-to album that people think about when as soon as they hear shoegaze, at least who are familiar with the genre, they just think of the Loveless. At least that's what I do. Yeah, that is like the staple of the genre.
It's like almost a little bit of a joke at this point. It's like, oh yeah, Loveless, but I mean, it's because it's so influential.
Yeah.
But I guess we're leaning more towards the melodic side, like the Sovlaki,
Sigur Rós.
yeah,
Some post-rock
Yeah,
influence
yeah.
for sure.
Well, and it's cool because these bands are like starting to get back together and release new music.
Yeah,
Like Ride
exactly.
is on tour and
Yeah,
Slow Dive.
Slow Dive
like,
has a single out right now. Their album will be out soon. Sigur Rós has debuted some new songs.
Oh, he did.
yeah.
I didn't hear that.
They had a single out, I think over the summer
did.
actually, and I remember I was like driving home from work or something, and I just saw, oh, they have a new song, and I listened to it on the way home, and it was, it was beautiful.
It's
they're
really pretty
so
music.
sick.
So yeah, so we
Shameless plug to all of our favorite bands.
yeah,
Always.
shameless plug, no, and even like there's some newer bands that are doing some of the same stuff. Candy Claus, formerly Candy Claus, now Sound of Sarah's.
Well, Sound of Series, that it's I guess is more of a side project. I actually talked about that because for our end of the year show, it was one of my favorite albums. Was Nostalgia for Infinity.
It's fantastic.
So good.
It's beautiful. The
It was
influence
awesome.
on that. There's like influences coming from everything.
Yeah,
There's
my
Latin
Spiral
influences,
Arm, that
there's-
song blew my mind when I first heard it.
Yeah, and
So cool.
the Sarah's and Calypso, Into the Deep Time. That album,
Yeah.
if you guys, if no one's listened to that, you should listen to that if you liked any of our music. It's a fantastic album. It's very underrepresented, and
It's like
a lot of
tropical shoegaze.
oh yeah, the textures in that album are phenomenal, and a lot of our musical influence comes from just creating texture and just trying to find texture where there
Texture is
isn't.
super important. Texture and atmosphere, I feel like, are super important in a recorded setting because there's only so much you could do with tonality and lyrics and everything. So I feel like setting a mood is really important too. Kind of having a different timbral thing going on.
Yeah, putting your listener in a place and not just speaking to them. Like I don't know. I think when it comes to most music that I listen to, the stuff that I like is a mix of this is where I am, this is where the music's putting me, and this is what they're telling me. And that's what we hope to do is create a place where the listener can be, and that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely immersive stuff, and that's sort of where these pedal boards come into play as well, because that is what you guys are creating these walls of sound with, and that's what you guys had that little like refer to it as like an ambient interlude,
Yeah, that was cool.
and that's what like it's nice because a lot of bands and these technologies give you the opportunity to create these immersive just walls of just layers and layers of feedback and stuff. And it's crazy because you can take noise and somehow distort noise into a rhythmic and I guess comforting enveloping thing,
Yeah.
Never want it to be like overindulgent whenever we do something like that, because it's pretty easy to lose people and also kind of lose yourself in the like mess of like all the noise and everything. Also, you don't want to spend 10 minutes staring at the floor like messing with knobs, but sometimes you do. That can be cool, but
you just get lost like moving dials around.
Yeah, we have some interesting experiences where we were asked to play a show in the suburbs. We're out from Westchester, Downingtown, Pennsylvania, about like 40 minutes from Philadelphia. We had a friend over the summer, who asked us to play at their at his band's EP release. So we played in his basement at his parents' house, and we were missing.
was
And
sick.
it was awesome.
It was a
They
beautiful
were
house.
awesome. They
Beautiful
were great hosts and
Beautiful people.
a lot of great people. But Antonio was missing, so it was just him and I. And we were like, you know what? Hey, the guy's name is Sean. Hey, Sean, may we just do some ambient stuff?
And just ambient. Whoa.
Yeah, so we like go into his basement, like his parents are there, his grandparents are there, they're
Like
watching. He's got friends, family,
Like
dogs,
family
cats.
members, like his family friends and all their kids who like don't get it at all.
We're just like
None
we
of
just
like
we
they
sit
were, like,
down.
Like all the musicians are like, dude, this is sick, and everyone else is like, what the hell are these?
we
going
wanted to
on?
make sure
Come on.
that like at least it wasn't too weird. So we were like, okay, we're gonna sit on the ground. You guys can sit on the ground. Just like make yourself comfortable, meditate or
Turn
whatever.
the lights off and made it super like try to make it super like intimate, I guess.
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was still just it's cool.
So we played like 35 minutes of that of just ambient music, and then the most embarrassing part was we forgot his band's name. So we were like, all right, up next is
name drop Second to Safety.
Second to Safety.
Second to
sick.
Safety.
They're
Check
great.
them out too.
They had an EP release this summer, and great guys. But yeah, we
Don't listen to our music, only other people,
yeah,
please.
we don't exist. So yeah, I don't know. This is a pretty funny story. Just sometimes the ambient stuff's too much, and
Yeah,
we try to be conservative with it.
I think it's really interesting how you end up getting like niches of like entire groups of people who like love this music, but like people outside of it wouldn't really understand it or even know it exists. Honestly, like that's what ends up happening.
It's crazy because shoegaze was so it was really big in the 90s. You had magazines that front cover just saying like shoegazing. That's what it was referred to as a verb.
The grunge of the UK.
Yeah, and so I feel like now since for as much as like we're aware of it, normal people, like, I don't know, you try to say something like, oh yeah, I play shoegaze, and you're like, what?
Yeah, no,
it's like a balancing act. Like you have to explain it to someone because it's such a weird thing to say.
It's a lot
Like,
of
Yeah,
distortion
yeah.
and soft vocals. Like,
Which brings us. I mean, that brings us to our next topic, which is essentially the whole deal of niche styles, right? Where it's like you have to explain, and I mean not necessarily have to explain, but it's like a whole nother realm of people, and like how that is completely driven by a genre, and how like I don't know if it started with shoegazing, but I feel like that was like a big one.
It's just I think now it's a cool time to reflect on how these music styles can influence culture and sort of I guess in your case it would be like what does a shoegazer look like kind of thing. I mean, Serge has been talking about this because of the Fleet Foxes just put out a new song, right? So it's the first song in I think like 7 years or something like that, and it got me thinking because that was like late 2000s, early 2010s. Was like this huge hipster movement, right? Yeah. That's when you had like Bon Iver, the Fleet Foxes, you had the Antlers come out with stuff. You had like kind of like this wave of indie sort of taking over the radio. You had Arcade Fire winning for the Suburbs in 2012, like
winning a Grammy.
Exactly. And so it was funny because how integrated that music came into this hipster stereotype, where if you imagine like
the media, the news
Yeah.
would be like hipsters.
The
We
new
use the
world
word
order.
hipsters.
Even though the word hipster has been around since the
it's like
50s.
the-
The whole beatnik movement.
It's so weird.
And it actually is really interesting because sort of like subcultures within countercultures exist and have existed for a very long time. And the arts becoming more accessible to people has sort of brought them out. Back in the 50s, if you want to be a musician, you were a studio musician. You were maybe an orchestral musician or like a lounge singer or something. There's more obviously, but now it's like you want to be a musician, you can go to Sam Ash, buy a $50 guitar, $50 amp. You're a
record
musician
on your phone.
Yeah,
Straight
record on
up.
your
Got
phone.
Bandcamp.
and-
everyone and their friend is like in a band playing in a basement somewhere, so it's cool.
But I think it's crazy because with this going back to this whole hipster thing was that when someone said hipster, you kind of immediately thought, was it like a beard, thick rim glasses, flannel, like Starbucks coffee, a
It was a
MacBook.
fashion. It was like
and then
visual thing.
and then Fleet Foxes. Like that is how I saw it. Is that a lot of
Coffee.
yeah, like a lot of hipster parodies would always be bearded mountain dudes singing harmonies together, and that's because of the Fleet Foxes. So I just think I joked saying that White Winter Hymnal should be in a museum because that defined
Oh, yeah,
such
no,
a
it-
crazy generation of music.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
Mumford & Sons.
Exactly.
They're
Like,
another
they brought
band of
folk
like
back
that.
to the
Yeah.
radio, like whatever they are now. But I just think it was insane that during the mid 2000s we just had like this weird R&B and hip hop kind of washing away, and that's where everyone was sort of like starting to berate what pop music was, and then just like this indie like remanufacturing happening, and so. Now in the year 2017, we have all these indie artists again, like sweeping back. We have Bon Iver just come out with a new album. Arcade Fire's come out with one. Gorillaz is coming out with one.
Oh yeah.
And then and as well as as well as the Fleet Foxes. So it's cool to sort of reflect in terms of what is music's impact on these cultures.
Yeah.
Like what. I don't know. It's just crazy to think of how this music can sort of define a type of people.
Yeah, and it's like a commonality because if I don't know, I guess in my case at least, and I know in Ryan's case, probably in your guys' case, we grew up listening to like classic rock, and we started listening to like Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Led Zeppelin,
all that stuff, and then we were like, okay, I've listened to this for 2 years now. What can I listen to now? And then that's when you start getting into newer music that's even more interesting.
Yeah, someone shows you one weird band.
Someone shows you Radiohead and you're hooked.
Yeah,
and then
you're gone.
And it's
And that's
cool
not
because
that's not dissing classic rock or anything.
No, I mean
it's amazing music. All like stuff.
I love
all like earlier stuff
Rush.
like funk, reggae, like classic rock, like everything. Like there's so much good music before, and there's so much good music now that I feel like you can't make a case for like, oh, where is music going? Or like, what happened? Or like, this stuff rocks. It's like everything. There's always been so much good music. It's just that I think it's a lot more accessible to make music now and to kind of like find your own thing. And also, you can listen to a bunch of different styles of music, and that kind of throws people too. Instead of like, oh man, I'm gonna go. I shop at this record store, and they only sell punk records and like
strictly brands.
Yeah, it's like appealing to certain crowds of people. But now you can walk into a record store and there's like, oh, there's Kendrick Lamar, and then there's like Katy Perry, and then there's D'Angelo, and then there's like
Death Grips.
and Death Grips, and then there's like Preoccupate. Like there's all these weird like kind of meshes of cultures.
And it's so cool because I think now more than ever that's what that versatility should be. That like everyone should have as widespread as possible music taste. It could be anything from the top 40 to some strange obscure like Japanese karaoke music or something like that.
And what's amazing right now is that back in the way the music industry worked from like the 60s up into the 90s basically was there was a sound that was popular and you made that. You listened to that. That's what you did. Like, and there were only very certain artists that broke through. So for example, like the 60s, you had like the psychedelic, like the Beatles, you had like that type of, like coming out of like the rockabilly movement. 70s, you get into like harder rock, and then you start getting into soul and disco. And then, grunge became the thing like the 90s, punk in the 80s.
Post-punk.
And the thing is,
new wave.
Now you...
We don't talk about new wave.
It's almost impossible to say like, okay, what is the sound of 2017? Like, tell me, what do you think? Can you say? Yeah, it's really hard.
It's
You could
difficult. Hip hop has made such a resurgence too, because it was like you were saying, it was kind of dying down. Not dying down, but it was definitely
going.
It was getting dull.
And now it's about high fashion.
Oh, and that's
Young Thug is the most fashionable.
Right.
And that's crazy too. Is that what is that paradigm shift where you had That's what gangster rap was. It was all about, it was, and that's what scared a bunch of white families back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and then now in this time, like we have all these high rappers who are super into fashion and arts, and they go to shows, and a lot of them are defining like these gender stereotypes that were totally a problem and issue in their lyrical content, like years prior. So I think it's cool to see how sort of creative and open everything has been getting a lot, especially within the different sects of music.
It's like you go from Go Kid, Mad Seed to Pimp a Butterfly. Like, how did that happen? Or if you go, like Childish Gambino's newest album is like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a point of contention around here.
Yeah.
Like Donald Glover listened to Parliament Funkadelic once, and he was like,
one Funkadelic album.
He listened to Maggot Brain. He's like, let's do it.
or even like like Danny Brown, like he's going from this trap rap stuff from old to this incredible. Like Trotsy Exposition was this crazy experiment with sound and noise and emotion.
It was Paul White, right? He was it was the guy who produced it, Paul White.
Yeah, and it was well, I'm not actually sure, but I'll go with that.
Well, he do you guys listen to Open Mike Eagle?
Yeah,
because he recorded Mike Eagle's most recent album. Side note.
Great music. Also, Hannibal Buress's feature on Open Mike Eagle's
feature comedy.
Oh yeah,
Doug Stamper.
So funny. He used to say, "Don't buy a
Yaris.
Don't buy a
Honda
Taurus.
Civic.
That's a girl's car." It's like, no, it's okay. You can buy it. You can buy whatever car you want. It's cool. Like, don't define people by their cars.
What do you guys have for us today? Well, where's your topic, your contribution to this conversation for us?
So we actually have already touched a little bit on our contribution. We were gonna something that we've been discussing a lot, amongst ourselves, amongst other musicians, is just kind of like not only like the resurgence of shoegaze as a genre or noise rock or ambient rock, but how it fits into the local scene here and specifically here, since we know it the best. Like, for example, so we play a show at a house, and it's crazy how diverse the music is in that one show, but what we find is that we're playing with a lot of the same styles of music all the time, and it's hard to break out as a band when most people want to go to a show and hear this one type of music. And and I know we talked about musical paradigms earlier, but especially in the DIY scene, there's a very specific sound that most of the bands go for, and it's hard to sort of fit in with them when we play what we do.
It's insane because we were talking about this I guess yesterday or just in general, is that every scene, every city has its specific scenes, and it's crazy to think about that, because whatever city you're in, you're kind of just acclimated to that. And so Philly has this strange like post-hardcore emo thing going on, and they have for years, because I think like
it's not the same though.
Well, it's also still like indie folk rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like, it's like a weird.
You
blend.
have modern baseball on one hand, and then you have Dr. Dog on the other.
Yeah, you have like Hop Along and Districts.
The Districts,
and
exactly.
all these other
Well,
bands.
even like Hop Along, or if you want to go back to isn't Anthony Green from Philly, right?
Yeah.
The Circus Survive, and then
really?
isn't Captain Jazz from like Langhorne?
No.
If you guys know Captain Jazz, or
a
lot of those like hard hitting emo bands from the late '90s are also from like sort of this this area, and so. Like I've done my own spouts around the like North Philly house show scenes and stuff like that, and especially like over in North Philly compared to what they are in West Philly, like it's so different too, because the North Philly basement shows are definitely a lot more grimier.
It's a little bit more.
It's very
true
raw
to punk.
Yeah,
it has
character.
Character.
R.I.P.
Character is the
R.I.P.
word.
the Nest.
No, that place deserves to die.
Character.
See, I will not make any statements on the
Character.
Nest. It was a great place to play a show because the audiences were always into the music. However,
People were engaged.
there are political issues with it. We don't really need to
People,
discuss.
Yeah,
people are engaged at most basement shows, though. I don't think that is a venue specific
Yeah.
thing. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
venue,
That's a very good
that's
point,
a
you know,
basement show
But
trope.
in terms of going back to the scene of the music, is that I wish Philly's scene was more acclimated to the dream pop and shoegaze stuff. Is that very rarely you'll show up to a basement show and see people playing like a keyboard or something like that.
Yeah, or
it's just like a bunch of dudes scrapping together like emo music or something like that.
and no, not trying to diss like those scenes, because I like a lot of bands like that, like respect a lot of bands that are doing that sound. A lot of them do it really well. It's just kind of hard when you go to a show and everyone expects one thing and you deliver them something else, and it's hard to really get the message across live with the type of music we do. At least on our last album we layered I don't know, like 4 guitar
It's hard to bring a
tracks,
grand
like,
piano
at
on
once.
stage in a
Cool.
basement to
And like
When's your next album coming out, by the way?
TBA.
TBA. You guys are recording.
To be continued.
So we're recording like an EP, a single.
Okay.
That should be out before summer.
Give it a few months.
We're gonna
Okay.
we want to give it enough time to make sure that it's right. We don't want to put out something we don't agree with.
Yeah.
But
no, yeah, makes sense. I really liked. What is it? Supermoon?
Yeah.
EP
EP will be called Supermoon 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Ooh, I'm down.
And something else I want to point out is that personally with me, album covers are a big fucking deal when it comes to the music itself, and I applaud you guys because I think your album covers managed to like match the
Thank
music
you.
pretty well.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
And
10
especially
out of 10.
you know, with the more local college age groups, like people just for some reason slap on whatever album cover they want. Totally shit.
The like the apathetic aesthetic has become.
I like that.
That's well,
New Tessellations EP, apathetic aesthetic.
That's the word. No, but like it's
Follow
it's,
me at.
That's kind of like I guess the sort of commonality. Everyone wants to find a common ground in their music and in the way that they interact with people. And right now we're in sort of a situation where, you know, a lot of kids are coming to college, obviously, not really sure what to do. It's, you know, it's not like we're looking at great times with the economy. You're probably going to be in debt when you leave. It's understandable to feel apathetic about your life situation.
It's relatable too to see something like, oh, like it seems like they didn't like, you know, pay someone a bunch of money to make this album cover. Like it kind of fosters that DIY spirit of like, oh, like I could do this too.
I'll slap some stuff together in word art.
Yeah. So like on one hand, like we respected for the most part, like, you know, sometimes it's done really well. And I appreciate that. But
a good album cover is a good album cover. But
exactly.
Like,
if it's
also a bad album cover.
An album cover should speak for the music visually.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So
and you guys had a great set today too.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you guys
Thank
coming
you so
on.
much.
Where can we follow you? Where can we all find you on the internet? On
We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We are on Twitter, but we're a little not active.
Tessellations the band.
It's Tessellations Band.
Okay.
At Tessellations Band.
Bandcamp,
Instagram.
SoundCloud,
Bandcamp
YouTube.
is tessellationsband.bandcamp.com. SoundCloud is SoundCloud/TessellationsBand.
You can follow us on Symbol. We have a
We
Symbol.
do have a Symbol.
Wow.
Symbol is a
Symbol's
startup
what
app
it's
where
saying.
you share your music that you're currently into. It's actually really cool.
Follow them on Symbol.
Yeah.
Follow them on Symbol. Follow us, Live Sound Group, on Twitter as well.
Thank you to Live
follow
Sound Group
them.
for hosting us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And thank you for watching.
Classic.